Live. Hi, everyone. Let me know if you have audio. Let me know if everything is okay and working because I am really excited to get started today. In case you don't know, this is a Q&A. However, before we do a Q&A, I have something very interesting to share with you guys. I'm very happy. So, guys, so let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to answer the questions in the live chat. But before we do that, we're going to answer the Patreon questions because our patrons get priority. And also, so if you're not a patron, consider becoming a patron, all that good stuff. Make sure you like the video. Like the video if you're watching, please. It really helps us grow. But again, if you're a patron, that means your questions will definitely get answered, and they get priority. And also, it means that if you're not live here with us, but you still want your questions answered as a patron, you get to send us your questions ahead of time, and we will answer your questions. So I will go and answer the patron questions, then the live chat questions. But before I do either one of these, thank you, Music Guy. Everyone's confirming the audio is great. Hi D, hi Music Guy, hi Anna. Yeah, hi everybody. Hi Rana to something. Neptune. Hi everyone. Thank you for your message. Okay, yeah. I have some you can see I'm excited today, okay? Guys, you know how we've been getting kicked out of everywhere, right? Like on Twitter, we keep getting strikes on YouTube. We've been demonetized on YouTube, and people recommend to us like this social media platform or that social media platform, and like they'll go on Minds and go on BitChute, and the problem is like you don't know. Like first of all, these other platforms are, somebody you things could happen. Like Parler, for example, went down, and they're not tested. They're not easy to work with. There's not that many people there. There's no way to get like compensated for the time that you're putting there, right? There's not that much ad money. There's nothing, right? Like you're working here and you're going to somewhere. And also another problem with these other platforms is that they're just filled with loons, like conspiracy theorists, homophobe, transphobes, ethno-nationalists, and they're like, this is it gross. I don't want to be there, right? And I thought like we can't, like there's no platform, there's no such thing as a platform where it's for free speech, and there's no risk of it turning against us, and that it also is not a home for loons, but it's also a place where you own your own content and nobody can take it away from you. Does this sound too good to be true? Okay, like hold on, I'm gonna tell you guys, okay? And not only you own your own content and you get rewarded heavily, even with a small community, you get rewarded a lot, just by creating content. The people who are engaging with you and commenting as well, they're also getting rewarded. Like your followers do not have come there and they comment and they upvote, and it's not that they're paying you for following you, they're also getting paid for just supporting you and following you. Does that seem too good to be true? I thought so. However, I introduced to you guys this new platform. Well, it's not new. I just haven't been paying attention to it until I realized what we're doing here. Okay. It's called Peaked. Okay. And you can see we have been here for a while. And I got, guys, I must say, I feel guilty because they have been so good to me in this community. And all we have done is just post there and not engage with people. Okay. Like, this is such a healthy, pro free speech community of non-loon, non-racist, like, because again, guys, free speech has become like, among many circles, has become this like um dog whistle for a whole bunch of other things that are not free speech, that is just like hateful stuff, right? I mean, there are free speech, but like, like it's just not the kind of crowd you want to hang out with. But this is actually, and guys, the reason why this is so go, please, if you're interested, go on Peaked. Maybe I should like share with you guys the link to our account on Peaked. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the live chat. The good thing is that this is based on a blockchain. Okay, I don't know if you understand like cryptocurrencies and blockchains and stuff. You don't really have to. The only thing you have to realize is that there's nobody that could remove your content. Like when you post something here, it's unremovable. Like even gods can come and remove this content. Like nothing can. No force in the goddamn universe can come remove your content. Like it's not free speech just because people who made it are believe in free speech and stuff like that. It's free speech because there's nothing that could remove the content. That's how anti-censorial this whole platform is. Okay. Also, you own everything you make. Like, on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, when you make a video or make a post, it's owned by Facebook, it's owned by Twitter, it's owned by YouTube. Here, when you make something, it's owned by you. You own it. And not only you own it, the people who come and engage with you and leave a comment, they own their own comments. Nobody can remove that as well. And guess what? Not only the content creators get paid in Hive, so you get paid for making content here, but the people who comment. So guys, come to here. I left a link, okay, to our account, okay, in the live chat. I should put it in the description as well. Okay, it's peak.com / at Atheist Republic, okay? Or if you're just on Peak, if you make an account on Peak, just search for Atheist Republic, you should be able to find us. But the people who comment, and if I because we have a good standing here, I can come upvote your comments. So guys, I will engage with you on Peak if you leave a comments and like engage with our content there. And because I will engage with you and upvote you, you will get paid as well. You get paid in this cryptocurrency called Hive, which you could then keep or exchange for Bitcoin or exchange for US dollar. This is not financial advice. I'm not telling you anything like go. I'm not giving you any financial advice. I'm not an expert or anything, but that's how it works. Okay. So again, I feel really bad because I haven't been engaging here. I used to get a lot more comments here, but then people see that I'm not engaging on Peaked because we were just dumping content there and leave. But even with that, they have been treating us so well. They value, and everything is so positive here. The community here is so, they really believe. It's not just the people who build it that believe in this. The entire community really believes in what they have produced here, and you really get rewarded for being a valuable member of this whole community. Like, this is not owned by any central power. Like, how Facebook is owned by a company and YouTube is owned by a company. This is this whole thing is owned by a community. And as soon as you start engaging in it and you get Hive, the Hive cryptocurrency, you are now a part owner as well. So the whole thing is completely decentralized, and it's a social media platform, like a whole bunch of social media platforms. Peaked is the one that I like, that are based on the Hive blockchain, that everybody is part owner and part voter and part, like the content creators and commenters and everybody else is just owners as well. They're shareholders in this whole community. It's so beautiful. I can't even believe that it's real. Okay, I hope it keeps working out. So the cryptocurrency for this has been skyrocketing, which shows that people actually believe in it in the recent past few days. So I am now taking another look at it, and I'm going to now be actively participating with our community. And the good thing is that you make so much more with just a small community here. Okay, you don't have to have hundreds of thousands of followers to get the level of rewards that you get on Twitter and YouTube. You could do so well with just 1,000 followers. So I'm now going to take this a lot more seriously and start engaging with our audience on Peak. So please go there and start engaging with us and everybody else there, and maybe make your own content. Let me see what you guys think in the live chat about this. Marco is saying, regarding free speech, the only option is by growing a thicker skin, so to speak. I don't know what you're talking about. You can't grow a thicker skin if people just remove what you're saying on Twitter. You keep coming in, like for example, imagine how Twitter treats us. We spent 10 years. We spent more than a decade building a community there of 130,000 followers on Twitter, right? When Hindutva comes and like this, they do false reports of copyright abuse right after each other, do it so fast that the appeal process, we appeal every single copyright claim that has been made, and every single appeal works, but they know that it takes a few weeks for the appeal process to go through. So if they could get the reports fast enough, our account will get suspended without us being able to appeal them, right? So we spent a decade working on your community there, and there's nobody on Twitter that is talking to us. Like, we have nobody to talk to. We just lost 130,000 followers because a bunch of Hindutva people were upset, were triggered by us. So this is how they value your community there. On Facebook, we have had 300,000 followers on. We have more than 2 million followers, 2 million on Facebook, but 300,000 followers were is in India, and we had a couple of 100,000 also in Pakistan. And India pressured Facebook to block us in India, so we lost access to 300,000 followers in India. And before that, we also lost access to our followers in Pakistan, which was the biggest followers we had after United States was in Pakistan. So like Facebook just gives into the governments of India and Pakistan, and you work so hard building a community, and it goes away. YouTube just demonetized us after us working and building a community here. And there's no way for us to tell us, like we keep removing videos, and they don't tell us even what videos we need to remove to get the monetization back. Like, there's nobody to talk to, right? But here we have just like a tiny community, and they're welcoming us with open arms, even though we're not engaging with them. They keep like engaging. They keep rewarding us with like more than with 300 followers. They have given us more rewards in the past like couple of months than Twitter and Facebook, YouTube have done so combined. And there's no way you could lose. And you own everything you make. You own it. It's not somebody else. It's not Facebook or Twitter or YouTube that owns it. You own it. It's yours. Nobody can take that away from you. It's amazing how it's this. Like, this whole process of decentralization on social media, I thought this is going to come like in the next decade or so, but it's here on the Hive blockchain right now. This is the best place I'm saying that it's working, and the best front for that is peak.com, right? So go check it out. Anyways, I need to start getting to the Patreon questions. These saying I'm too old to learn new things. It's literally like they made, like, when it comes to social media that is based on blockchains, the Peaked is the easiest one to get into. Like, they don't have like wallet addresses that are just like giant numbers and stuff. They like other like platforms that are based on cryptocurrency, like, it's a little intimidating. But this one, I think they have it made the most user friendly. It's just like opening an account. I don't know, you don't really need to learn much about, all you need to do. Like, it gets very complicated if you want to know how the reward system works and how much you're getting paid, and why are you making money just by commenting. By the way, guys, you just make money there by just commenting, okay? But all you have to know is just like you make a post, you comment, you upvote things. Like, oh, by the way, guys, when you upvote something there, you're basically giving them money, but not from your own wallet. Do you know what I mean? Like when you upvote something and they make money because you're upvoting it, it's not coming from you. So you're not losing something, but they're making more. That's amazing. Anyways, I have to move on to the Patreon question. Let me just decentralization is always good as it makes monopolization much harder. I'm not sure if exactly you're getting what's happening here. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go to, you guys are talking about other things. My decision to support Hindutva. I don't really care about your decision to support your Hindutva. You're insane if you support Hindutva. Yeah, you have lost your mind if you support Hindutva. And I'm gonna respond to the questions by our patrons now, because they are the ones who are supporting us, our community, rather than instead of somebody that is supporting a hate group that is Hindutva. So I rather respond to that. Okay, so secular proton guys, can you make sure when you post your questions on Patreon, post it so that it fits in one comment, so I don't have to like highlight two comments at the same time. Okay, so somebody's saying where's our superstar Susanna? Guys, it's Thanksgiving, obviously. That's where Susanna is gonna hang out with family and stuff, right? She's American, all right? It's Thanksgiving. Okay, so This was by Secular Porton. Secular Porton is asking, is there a way to filter out the not safe for work art on Patreon for Atheist Republic? The art is great, and I fully support the project, but sometimes I want to search for streams in public or at work to listen back, listen in the background while I'm doing something, and I always have to hide my phone. Well, two things. First of all, on Patreon itself, if you look at the very top, I'm not going to show it on the screen because there's, as you mentioned, we have our not safe for work blasphemous art there. I can't show that on YouTube, but if you look at the top, you can see that the posts are you see categories, right? So you have the news category, you have the Q&A category, you have the art category, you have the comics category, and you have the animation category. So if you click on the category that is about news, then you will be able to see just the news related posts, right? Also, reminder to everybody else that every art that you see outside of our Patreon is the safe for work version of our art that people are clothed. If you want to see the not safe for work version of our art, you have to be a patron. Link to our Patreon in the description. You get the not safe for work nude version of our art. It's more than just nude. It gets very explicit sometimes, right? But if you want to see that version of our Hindu gods and goddesses in very explicit sexual positions, and also Muhammad and Rama and some Japanese gods, and we're gonna keep adding to the pantheons of gods that we keep like turning into art. So we have art every week, by the way. We have new art every week. So that's one thing you get for being a patron. Link to that in the description, right? Yeah, so that's how you do that. Let's see the next question. God, these questions are very long. Can you please make them shorter? No, guys, Theta is not a great platform. I mean, it's not yet. Theta isn't like somebody saying Theta. That's in beta format, okay? That's a work in progress. And when I'm talking to you guys about Peaked, that's a finished work, okay? This is done. This is like a fully functional social media platform where you own your own content and your own comments, and you get paid for just simply engaging with us. You know? So when you go there and support Atheist Republic on Peaked, your support doesn't mean that you pay us. Your support means that we get paid and you get paid for just engaging. I make sure that everybody who's commenting on our post on Peaked, because we have like a lot of hive power, I will make sure to upvote every single person that is going to engage with our content on Peaked. So you get paid, even if it's like something against us or something. I'm gonna go upvote you guys, so you start getting paid automatically, right? And then you could engage with the rest of the Peak community as well. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So we have a lot of voting power there. So make sure you go and wait. Where is this comment? Get engage with our comments so I could upvote you so that you can start getting paid. Like which other social media pays you simply for just talking to people, right? Again, link is peaked.com/at Atheist Republic, or just peaked. Wait, it's not peak. Okay, it's PEAKD. Okay, not ED. Peaked. Yeah. Anyways, so here's another question. This question is like again very long. I wish these questions were shorter so I don't have to like move, so I could just highlight one of them and the whole thing will show. Again, Patreon questions, please make them shorter so I could like highlight them one just with in one comment. This one is by Secular Proton. Secular Proton is saying about the Shamima Begum case. The easy question to answer is that it seems quite wrong that she is stripped of her citizenship. Okay, yes, we are against that. You can't just remove people's citizenship just because they committed a crime. You punish them because they committed a crime, but you don't remove their citizenship. This is it defeats the whole point of what it means to be a citizen, right? You don't lose your rights when you commit a crime. You just get punishment. You know, like the fact your rights came with the understanding that when you have rights because of your citizenship, if you go to jail because of your crimes, you didn't lose any of your rights. In fact, you are maintaining your rights. For example, you have a right to a lawyer, to a defense, to a hearing, and you get punished for it. Like those are all like, when you go to jail, that is all in accordance to your rights, right? Like, so, but what you don't do with punishments is that you don't say like, oh, you committed a crime, so you're not entitled to your rights. No, you get punished while maintaining your rights. Okay, so this whole idea of somebody losing their rights because you took their citizenship away because they committed a crime completely undermines the entire human rights and enlightenment values system that UK is based on, right? Like, you think like you're getting rid of one problematic person, but no, what you're doing is that you are getting rid of the foundations of your country just because you are threatened by just one person, which you could easily just put in prison for their crimes, right? So obviously that's an easy answer that it's wrong to take their citizenship away. I mean, I don't even know what to tell you anymore. For anybody who disagrees, like, you're lost, you're insane. That you think like, oh yeah, this is good, I'm a UK citizen, take your citizenship away from them because they're horrible people. Like, oh yeah, let's just like destroy the foundations of my country because instead of punishing this person, I just want them to just completely lose their citizenship. Like, you're hurting yourself more than you're hurting that person. Like, congratulations. Yeah, and you're insane if you support that. It continues saying the harder question is, what should she be charged if, assuming she hadn't lost her citizenship and can fight in British courts, and how harsh should her punishment be? She was brainwashed and left the UK as a child, 15-year-old to be specific, and there is no evidence of her participating in anything directly harmful. I mean, it's already a crime just joining a group like that, joining ISIS, which is already a crime. Like any other further participation is just will be adding on top of that. I understand that 15 will mean that the punishment should be much more less, just like with any other crime. If you get charged as a minor, the punishment will be much less than if you get charged as an adult. I'm not an expert in law, so I don't know how it would be. What is the difference? I just know it's different, and it makes sense for it to be different. If you're 15, you shouldn't be punished as harshly for your decisions than if you're an adult. So again, I don't know the difference. I'm not an expert in law and all of that. All right, cool. Okay, another question. Again, this one is by Secular Proton as well. Wow, today we have a lot of Patreon questions, guys. I'm gonna try to answer the Patreon questions, and then we're gonna go to the live chat questions. I'm going from the bottom up. Okay, so the people who ask first will be answered last. Okay, so here's another question. Do you know some statistics on levels of apostasy / atheism in British people of Muslim origin ancestry, especially in Pakistan origin? I couldn't find much data by a quick search. Well, that's an easy question to answer. No, I do not. I'm sorry that I'm not being more helpful with that question. I apologize. Well, I actually don't have to apologize because it's not my fault. That's a very specific question. I don't have stats on top of my head. Hey, Susanna in the live chat is saying happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, Susanna. Why are you assuming that we're all Americans, huh? Why are you? This is a very American. This is very sweet and nice, but very American centric. But we'll take it. We should be saying happy Thanksgiving to you. You're American. We're not American. I mean, a lot of us aren't American. So why? Yeah. Well, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. All right, here's the next question. But oh my god, I'm so mean. I'm sorry, Sus. I'm sorry, Sus. She's being so nice, and I'm like, no, Sus, I'm kidding. We love Sus. I hope Sus is having a good time, wherever she is right now. Yeah. Music guy saying this is a Canadian stream today. Yes, how dare you? This is imperialist attitude, just imposing Susanna, just imposing her values on the rest of us. Wait, let me see what she's saying. Hold on, I'll go to the question. Susanna saying, I'm thankful for the friends and community I have because of Atheist Republic. Ah, see, this is why we need Susanna. I'm just like this pessimistic. negative person that just makes fun of everything and just dismiss it. Susanna just comes and just like and makes everything positive and just has this more upbeat, positive view of everything. So this is like makes Atheist Republic a lot more tolerable. All right, cool. Where were we? Okay, so here's the question. Australia has designated Hamas and Hezbollah as I'm just gonna say it. You know what? Screw YouTube. We're gonna go on peak.com anyways. So I'm just gonna use the naughty words, like some of them at least. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say the T word. Okay. So Australia has designated Hamas and Hezbollah as a terrorist organization. Also, the UK has designated Hamas as a terrorist group as well. Why are they so late on banning these organizations? First of all, my understanding was Australia just and UK have just did that with Hamas's non-military. Okay, I thought Australia only recently did Hezbollah as well. I thought it was just Hamas. Okay, so I saw that about Australia. With regards to the UK version, I know a little bit more about the UK version. I don't know much about the Australian version, but Australia and UK just recently joined the rest of the civilized world in telling that all of Hamas is a terrorist group, not just some of it. Okay, so the question is a little bit misleading because the UK had already designated the military branch of Hamas as a terrorist group. What they have done now is that they also now the non-military part, the one that is responsible for civilian activities and charities and stuff, which is often a front for their terrorist activities. UK has joined the rest of Europe, Canada, United States as just be like, okay, yes, I guess the non-military part is a terrorist group as well. I'm assuming that's what Australia did as well, because it would be insane if Australia hasn't already recognized the military branch of Hamas as a terrorist group. So I don't know what the details about that is. But just to be clear, the UK already recognized the military branch of Hamas as a terrorist group. It's just now the non-military section of it is also a terrorist group, which is a good thing to do. They are like, this is just the entire organization is a terrorist group, right? So this is the correct move to make, and it took them too long to do this. So that might okay. So you're saying, why did it take them so long? Well, because Hamas got elected as a freaking government, right? This is the same problem that we have right now with the Houthis in Yemen and the Taliban in Afghanistan. How could you deal with a whole bunch of people when their government is a terrorist group and you don't want to recognize a terrorist group, right? Again, it's unfortunate that the Palestinians in Gaza have voted for Hamas to be their government, but you can't really punish a whole bunch of civilians for making the wrong decisions. Their well-being is important. The well-being of Palestinians in Gaza is important, and the world has to do trade and some kind of some kind of relationship they need to have with at least a part of whoever is in charge to make sure that these people do not suffer, do not live in misery. I know a lot of hateful people be like, well, they make the wrong decision, so they deserve it. You're a horrible person if you think like that. People who make wrong decisions, they don't deserve to live in misery. People are wrong about many things. You can't punish people with poverty just because you have their ideology is wrong. Okay, that's not a fair thing to do. Okay. So Hamas had made sure that they have two separate branches. One is the military and one is not, so that make it easy, at least for some governments, to have some talks. And there's NGOs could come in. Like, okay, so you have NGOs that want to go into Gaza and help people. People are suffering in Gaza. Like, it's really an open prison. It's really bad. It makes sense for NGOs to want to go there and help people, but if the government is Hamas and if all of it is a terrorist group, it makes it very impossible to take care of these people, right? It makes it impossible for any NGO to go and have any relationship with the people who are in charge, because now they're going to get tainted and nobody's going to be able to work with them. So some government is, it makes sense to have like maybe the non-military part is not terrorist, but again, given that, imagine how much Hamas is betraying its own people, that they use the only outlet that the people there in Gaza had to be able to have some relationship with the rest of the world. They use that as a front to bring funding for their terrorist activities, so much so that they leave the rest of the world no choice but to designate even the non-military side a terrorist group, and therefore condemn. They are it's basically Hamas that is now responsible for the extra hardship that the people in Gaza are going to go through. Again, you might be like, well, why do people in Gaza vote for them if they are responsible for their hardship? Okay, guys, like, again, if you were born there, you would have probably voted for Hamas as well. Okay, like, this is like, people are a function of their environment, and we need to be more charitable to them and more understanding and wish them the best, even if they have dog shit ideologies. Okay, like, we do have to be humanists here and not want to punish people just because they're wrong about things. Okay, but again, Hamas has made it almost impossible, and that's why even countries like UK and Australia have now joined the rest of the world. Music guy saying it's strange they didn't think the political wasn't a part of the military. They used very threatening talk in the political speeches. Yeah, but music guy, like, let's be consistent here. We think that the Biden administration did a good thing to remove the Houthis from as a terror, remove the label of a terrorist group from the Houthis. Okay, you have to do. We are consequentialists. We're utilitarians, right? The Houthis are a terrorist group, and but it makes sense to not label them as a terrorist group because the people in Yemen need aid, and the Trump administration labeled them as a terrorist group, and this is going to make it impossible for NGOs to be able to get aid to the Yemenis people. And at the end of the day, you have to do a cost benefit analysis. Do you want to call a terrorist group, or do you want to save people? Right? To save people. Like, the situation in Yemen is the world's one of the greatest humanitarian crisis of our time. And if you want to be, well, we have to call them a terrorist group because they're a terrorist group, while the consequences of that being people suffering, people starving, people dying from diseases, people, like, if that's the consequences, well, we might as well not call them a terrorist group, right? Not label them and we can call them a terrorist group, but not label them legally as a terrorist group. I mean, we supported Biden at that, right? So yeah, I mean, it's complicated. It's very complicated. The situation with Gaza. So, are we being hypocrites? Like, why am I supporting this with Hamas but not with the Houthis? The thing is that with Gaza, there are other ways to get. I mean, ways to get some aid to the Palestinians, right? I mean, the PLO is involved in the Israeli. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but the Israeli government is also involved in actually helping Palestinians in Gaza. So I know that's going to get me in a lot of trouble for saying that, but it's just literally it's the case, right? So there are, like, the situation in Yemen is so goddamn horrible, and there is no way for you to be able to get in touch with anybody on the ground other than that through the Houthis, who are basically technically controlling everything, even though they are not recognized internationally as the government. They're not recognized officially as a government, but technically they are the government. Another thing I want to mention is that with this, one other good thing that might come out of this labeling all of Hamas as a terrorist group is that the new administration in Israel, right, is going to get it can become somewhat more stable, because the main fear people have over this new administration in Israel relative to Bibi, relative to Netanyahu, is that are they going to be defending Israel as well as Netanyahu did. He's going to be like a tough, strong man, blah, 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 right? So this is a major win for them because it's this new administration's efforts talking to UK and Australia to label these organizations as a terrorist organization group. And as somebody who I'm hoping that Netanyahu doesn't come back and this new administration in Israel manages to keep him outside of, keep him away from the power that he had, I'm wishing that they get a win out of this so that more Israelis feel comfortable that this administration is protecting us against terrorists. And I think this is a major win for them. Like this administration successfully is making Biden more closer to Israel relative to Netanyahu, where they were like, we're for Republicans and against the Democrats. So now, great job, Netanyahu. Now that the Democrats in power, you just like losing your strongest ally just because you picked one side over another. So it was really good for this new administration to come and like be able to get closer to Biden. But also now with like UK and Australia, like this new administration is doing something right, like you're uniting the world against our Israel's enemies. So again, you don't need Netanyahu. So this is a, you know, I hope this is the message that is going to be taken in Israel. And I'm hoping, I don't know if it will, but I'm hoping that's the result. And I'm hoping that will keep Netanyahu out. We'll see. It's really fragile. Everything is like very fragile, right? Let me see. Next question by Music Guy. Again, I will go to the page, to the live chat questions once we're done with the patron questions. Okay, I'm trying to go through all of this really fast. Saying, Armin, could you speak a bit about what's going on with the massive water protests going on in Iran, and now the recent reported protest camp in flames? Yeah, so in Iran, people are out in the streets in huge numbers. Thank you for asking that, Music Guy. And there's a water shortage, and it's not just because of global warming. A lot of studies that shows that yes, global warming has had the major effect in the water shortage in Iran, but it's also a lot of it, or even mostly, according to some reports, because of mismanagement by the government. Okay, so it's both of them. Okay, how much? A lot of people are saying the mismanagement is more, but I don't really know. It's two major factors: mismanagement by the government and water shortage. One easy way to know that this is mismanagement by the government is that even during during the previous during the Shah's time, you had droughts when during dry seasons, and you had no droughts during wet seasons. Wet season, is that how you say it? But now you have droughts even when it's raining, even when it's like not dry season. Like the water management has been devastating. Like every single analyst can tell you that there's a thing in Iran called the water mafia, and people are just, the amount of corruption when it comes to managing the water in Iran is so apparent, and it's been such a devastating blow to the agriculture, to the economy in Iran, right? And people are desperate. People are like angry, coming out. And the clever thing about these new demonstrations in Iran has been that people are trying not to give any excuse to the government to come and attack them, right? So the government always says that, oh, people can protest about mismanagement, economic issues, as long as it doesn't get political, anti-Khamenei, or like revolutionary. People can, they're like, oh yeah, we're for pro free speech, as long as it's not like anti, like trying to take down the government. Like people could come and say. So people now like, let's test that, and they have been very careful not to use chants that is directed at Khamenei or toppling the regime. They're just complaining about the water and mismanagement, and the government is like, oh crap, these people, like the government wants them to say things that makes them like, gives them an excuse to come and attack the crowd, right? Because otherwise they're going to look it's going to be really bad if they go out, if just people are asking for better management and they go attack them. Like, so, but the interesting thing is that you could say that the crowd, even though there's no like anti-Khamenei chants or pro toppling the government chant, they're very much, and they're just controlling themselves and showing a lot of restraint, because like in a couple of instances you saw like somebody says like, I want to thank Khamenei, and the entire crowd like got angry and like booed and shut him or her down like a couple of times in different cities. Somebody was like saying like, by the way, like, thank you Khamenei, or like the entire crowd like booed the speaker, right? So you can see the entire crowd is like anti-Khamenei, anti-regime, but they're just like restraining themselves just so that there's no excuse for shutting down the protests, right? So another thing that the government is trying is to turn them against each other, right? So one thing the government was, because water is being moved from one province to another province, and what the government was trying to do on media was to show like, oh look, these province is angry with this province because they saying like, you don't deserve the water, why are you taking our water away, like from here to here? So instead of like all of these demonstrators being united against the regime, they wanted to be like, oh, we're against the people in Isfahan being against the Kurdish people, and then this would be an internal fight. But then that didn't work, because as soon as people saw that this attempt was being made, people started chanting to support other cities, like people in Isfahan, like people like, I don't know, Isfahanis and Kurds unite, and Bakhtiaris and Kurds unite. Like people in one province were showing that no, just because like you're moving our water to that province, you're not going to turn us against them. We're all united with each other against your mismanagement and the corruption, right? So instead of chanting against like the Islamic Republic of Iran, people are saying like death to the water mafia and stuff like that. So it's harder for excuses to attack these demonstrations. So it's very clever. It's amazing because there's no leadership, and it seems very organized. Like it seems like people just get cues from each other and what they're supposed to do without having any central command system or any leadership that is managing all of this. It's amazing. So I hope it continues like this. So the more recent things that's happening is that the government doesn't really want to have like because remember 2 years ago when they attacked demonstrators and they had like, so they killed so many people, they shot people, right? They started shooting at people 2 years ago when there was demonstrations, and at least 1,500, like the estimates of the people who died 2 years ago when the government started attacking the demonstrations is minimum, according to Reuters, 1,500, and according to the bump in the death rates reported to the hospitals, that right after the demonstrations, up to 6,000, right? So between 1,500 to 6,000 people were shot dead by the government 2 years ago, and that's have been the price that the government has been paying. The amount of unity that people now have against the government has made the government less willing to be that violent. Okay, not because they're good now, but it's just because they don't want to give political capital. They notice that they keep making martyrs, and these martyrs become forces against them, right? So they're trying new tactics. So it's interesting. The people like, they put the protest camps on flames. It was like in the night. They just trying to people with not wearing any official clothing by the government, just so that there could be plausible deniability. Some people, like some of them, are pretending that they're not from like the main government, but maybe from the city government. Like they're using some really clever, not so clever, but like sneaky tactics as a way to like try to attack these people to leave, but also not hold the government responsible for it. To go in the middle of the night and like set these camps on flames. But overall, ever since that has came out, is now motivating more people to continue with these demonstrations. I don't know what the government is doing. I think the government is either going to be like, should we clamp down on this and attack everybody, but then potentially turn it into a bigger thing because we're attacking everybody, or like not touch it and just hope that these people get tired and go away. But if we don't touch it, our people are going to get motivated, and the protest gets bigger and bigger until we can't control it anymore. So they don't know what to do. They're afraid that if they don't touch it, the protest will get so big and out of control. but they think like, well, if we touch it and if we attack people, that also could lead to protests getting bigger and out of control. So they're like, they don't know, like they're trying to figure out they try to turn them against each other. That didn't work. There's another, like, I can't get into more details. There's a lot of other sneaky tactics that they're using, but we'll see what happens. Okay. Music guy saying, you see, people, I can't get this info from the news. That's why I love Armin. Thank you, music guy. Thank you. Make sure you leave us a like if you're getting good information out of this Q&A. Please make sure you support our channel by leaving us a like. It helps us grow. And again, guys, please go and support us on peak.com as well. I will leave a link again to it at the end of the stream, and I also, after the stream is over, I will leave a link into the description as well. Okay, here's the next question. Who's this by? This is by Hindutva Infiltration. So we have Hindutva Infiltration, who sent us this question. He or she is a patron. We appreciate your support. He has infiltrated our Patreon account by supporting us, so I appreciate that. Saying, you guys keep insisting Islamophobia is not a very accurate term, but isn't feminism technically a very inaccurate term too? Feminism has been used to shield anti-male narratives. Well, okay, so I think you're misunderstanding the difference between misusing a label and what it means. Hold on a second. So yeah, so like when we say, when the problem that we have with Islamophobia is not the misuse. It's not, okay. So you're confusing two completely different things. Okay, Islamophobia sometimes refers to something that is genuinely needs referring to, but with the wrong terminology. We have a semantic issue. We think it should be called anti-Muslim bigotry. Okay. We think the labeling of it is problematic because it makes it seem like attacking Islam is an issue, where attacking Islam is not an issue. Attacking Muslims is a problem. So anti-Muslim bigotry would be a better term to use, right? With feminism, the term itself doesn't have an issue, because if you are for women's rights, the fem in feminism is technically referring to the right thing. So the wording is not the issue. What you're having with the problem that you seem to be having with feminism, it's what it's used for, not the semantics of it, but the usage of it, right? So Islamophobia, on the other hand, is referring to something that we support it being referred to, like anti-Muslim bigotry being highlighted, is something that we want it to be highlighted, right? Feminism, you're saying it's being misused for something that shouldn't even be used. Okay, so your problem with it is completely different from the problem that we have with Islamophobia. However, I would challenge your assertion here as well, because I think when you have anti-male narratives from feminist groups, that gets a lot more attention than what most feminism is about, because it's disgusting. Like, anti-male narratives is absolutely horrible and disgusting, but it gets a lot more attention, right? It's gross, but it's more interesting. So because anti-male narratives gets more attention, you come up with this understanding that most feminists or many feminists are anti-male, but they're not. Feminism is just, most of feminism still to this day is just equality of rights between different genders. That's all it is, and I support that. However, you wouldn't get that impression if you just look at what narratives from feminist groups gets highlighted the most, which will give you a different understanding of what it is about. Okay, but yeah, I'm against anti-male narratives. That's absolute sexism, and I am a man's rights activist and a feminist at the same time, and that is not a contradiction. Okay, I'm a man's rights activist and a feminist at the same time. Okay, there is no contradiction in that. Okay, let me see. Ooh, long question by D. D, if you could shorten your questions on Patreon so that I could highlight them, because that would be fantastic. Because now it's like now it's cut into 3 parts. All right, so D is asking, we are starting to see some fallout from the Rittenhouse verdict. Kyle and his mom met with Trump, who sympathized with his suffering, and a Fox News interview made him the poster boy hero of the right. Kyle, in fact, made certain demands of President Biden, which led Republicans to their own demand of Biden's apology to Kyle for associating him with white nationalist tweets. Should Biden just ignore all of this? All right, let me go one by one. First of all, Kyle seems to be a nicer person than I even thought he was. Okay, so I don't understand. I think like he was not like this far right nationalist. He's a conservative, but he's not like this far right loon that a lot of people pretended to be pretended that he was. But he might become one, given that given the people who are supporting him. Like if he wasn't a far right nationalist, he wasn't like this white supremacist. He wasn't any of those things. But if people like he might become that, because he's being pushed in that direction now, and people are from that direction are welcoming him with open arms and celebrating him. So this is going to be another example of leftists basically demonizing somebody to the extent where they just push him. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like he wasn't a white supremacist, but you just pushed him so hard into that camp that he is now one of them. Okay. So there's that. I mean, like on his interview with Fox News, he was like, I support the BLM. That's what he said. Like, imagine, like, after all of the hate that he got from the far leftist people and all these people that are completely just made all of these accusations about this guy, completely baseless accusations of his character and everything that he was trying to do. After all of that, he come out and says that he supports the BLM. Like, I don't like what? That's amazing. That's what Kyle said. Kyle said that he supports the BLM. Not only he said that I think that this is the most leftist views that people have been exposed to on Fox, because he said that if it was a person of color dealing with what he was dealing with, his situation would be a lot worse. Like he said, like imagine everything I had go through. Imagine how much worse it would have been if it was a person of color. Like basically acknowledging systemic racism within Americans' justice system. Like that is the Kyle Rittenhouse that everybody was dismissing as a white nationalist. Okay. So wow. So if he becomes a white nationalist, which he isn't now, is just like another, another loss because of the amazing, horrible work that the leftists do when it comes to demonizing people out of hate, right? Yeah. So like, I hope he doesn't. I mean, I hope he stays the way he is and doesn't, because one thing is good is that he says that the picture that he had with Proud Boys, for example, was something that his insane first lawyer had decided, and he fired that lawyer specifically for that picture. Like that lawyer, the first lawyer, was this crazy conspiracy QAnon type, Trump supporter, that he was like in it for, like he wanted to put him on interviews, he wanted to like get a lot of fame when it comes to alt-right people using Kyle, and he went and made Kyle meet with the Proud Boys and take a picture with them. And then Kyle recognized that how all of this was horrible, and he fired that guy. So I'm hoping that keeps being mature enough to, I don't know, not give in to that crowd, the far right crowd, like anymore. And I think like he seems to be like going on Fox, and while being there, saying that he supports BLM and telling that audience that he thinks that if it was a person of color, he would have had it a lot worse, seems like a responsible way of being on right-leaning platforms, right? So for example, I think like it's okay to go on right-leaning platforms as long as you say things on that platform that challenges the narrative of the platform that you are on. So that seemed like a very responsible thing for him to do. However, things can change, and I hope, like, he seemed like a very nice guy. He seemed like again, I completely disagree with a 17-year-old grabbing a giant gun and just going into a riot. But he's a 17-year-old. I don't know if his calculations are his motives seem to have been genuinely good, even though his methodology was extremely flawed. If my son ever decides to go into a riots with a giant gun, like what are you doing? You're putting a target on your back with that thing hang around your neck. Like, what? That's insane. Stop doing it. But again, it doesn't mean that he was a bad person. He just didn't do. He wanted to serve. He wanted to help, but not in a good way. But he seems to be genuinely a nice kid. um so, and again, when it comes to this whole Biden thing, yeah, I mean, if you look at the ad that Biden's team put out, they show him right when they talk about white nationalists. I think that was completely unfounded. I think it was embarrassing, and I think, like, yeah, Biden does owe him an apology. He does owe him an apology. Like, that is like, you take this kid's you have no understanding of what happened. You have no understanding what this kid's ideas are, and you're using him on such a giant platform, one of the world's biggest election, where you can get more eyeballs, and you use his name as a way to demonize him for your own benefit without having the facts. Now you know you were wrong. Like, it's disgusting. It's disgusting the way that the Biden's team made an, like, he does owe an apology, if not more than, maybe more than an apology. So yeah, I agree that he does owe an apology. So yeah, but he does seem like a nice kid. I hope the far right doesn't just swallow him full and just change him. That would be a loss. He does seem like somebody who's not hateful, somebody who is willing to, like, again, he said he supports the BLM. So he it's amazing. That's insane that after all of this he still says that. I really do hope that he doesn't the right does, because they're embracing him with open arms and celebrating him as a hero, and that might change him, and I hope it doesn't. Oh my God, Ian, why are your questions so long? Ian, your questions, from next Q&As, we're going to make a requirement that the questions have to be a lot shorter for us to answer, because I'm not going to read essays. Okay, so this is Ian's question. I'm going to try to go through it really fast. Okay. I am saying India has developed a technology called UPI, Unified Payment Integration, where a user can transfer money from one bank to another by just using a virtual address of another user through any third-party app, which uses the system without any transactions fees. And within seconds, this tech has led to a great success in India, and India surpassed China and USA in digital transactions. Well, that's all good. I don't know why this is within a span of months. Okay, China has some similar tech like Alipay. Yeah, I heard of Alipay, but it's regulated by CCP, and it's slow and not secure. Okay, so what's the question? Oh my God, here's the second part. Jesus Christ, Ayad, why are you doing this to us? This is not a question. This is like an essay. Don't do this again. Oh my God. Okay, here's and the rest of the question. Where West still uses old tech. Okay, like debit card, checks, Swift for transactions and deposits due to massive success of UPI. Google wrote a letter to U.S. Federal Reserve to develop a similar system in the US, but this tech is still not coming into US market because of capitalist economy where banks are not ready to give up their interbank transaction fees due to this. I don't think it will come to US. Conclusion, don't you think sometimes capitalism hinders in a way of progress? No, your example shows the complete opposite of what your conclusion is. Your conclusion is completely wrong because you just said that the companies want to develop this technology and the government is not letting them. So what are you talking about? This shows that if you had freedom, this technology, if you allowed the businesses to, in fact, they would be able to do it more efficiently if the government in the US just simply allowed private institutions to come up with technology like this. So you're just saying that the reason why this technology is not being adapted in the US is because because it's being stopped. You're saying that you're saying it's because of the capitalist economy where the banks are not ready to give up their interbank transactions fees. Well, if there was not a regulation stopping from private companies to do this, the bank wouldn't be able to stop it. Do you understand that the influence of the banks have been dropping even before this whole cryptocurrency craze? People exaggerate how much control the banks have. The banks will not be able to stop this technology from developing if the government just allows it. So your conclusion is actually the opposite. Your conclusion is that if you actually allow the markets to just fill in the gap when there's a need, it will automatically respond. It will supply the service that is being demanded by the people. So the answer is more capitalism, not less, obviously. Okay. You have a second question that is another essay. So instead of that question, I'm just going to go to your third question because your second question is also very long. But I'm just going to answer your third question, because this is your only short question. Okay, last question from the Patreon. Is that the last question? Yes, I think it's the last question. And then I'm going to go to the live chat question. Yeah, that is the... Oh, wait. Music Guy added a few more questions as well. No, I already answered those. Okay, good. This is the last question. Armin, what will be your reaction if humans colonize Mars and you went for a visit and saw a church and a mosque on a red planet and heard azan and church bells? Okay, first of all, you cannot hear the azan and church bells in space because you can't hear anything in space. You mean oh, wait a minute. You mean like if in the station it was being played and then like in a radio or something? Okay. So what would I do? I will start the first Atheist Republic chapter consulate on Mars. Okay. I would be like, my response would be to create, how Atheist Republic has consulates in every major city in the world, and we have active members, local members that have participated in events and activities before this whole pandemic, at least they did. We still have our consulate everywhere in the world, and you could join our consulates, local consulates, to find atheists near you simply by just searching for Atheist Republic consulates. You will find a list of all the consulates in every major city. There should be one close to you, and if it's not, you could start a chapter right there. However, yeah, my reaction to this would be to start the Atheist Republic Mars consulate. That would be my reaction, because obviously if Mars is having churches and mosques, that would be required. Then the Atheist Republic consulate would be required to fight back against that on Mars. That would be my answer. All right. Let's go to the live chat questions, guys. I'm not going to be able to scroll all the way up, or am I? Oh my God, no. There's a lot of comments here. So if you want me to answer your questions, please repost them. And I will answer them right now. I'm just going to answer the most recent ones here. And if I missed your questions above, please repost them right now. Okay, don't tell me to go scroll all the way back up. Okay, pronatalism is saying, shouldn't all religious people who believe in eternal hell be anti-natalists? considering that there is a risk associated with their progenies ending up in eternal hell. Huh. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, given that most belief systems believe that most people are going to end up in hell, I mean, the way you address that. Okay, so here's the interesting thing. Okay, studies show that most people become less happy after they have children. Okay, I think the ratio was like 80-20, right? So I don't remember if this was the accurate number, but if you measure the people's happiness, 80% of people who, among all the people who have children, 80% of them report less levels of happiness after they had children compared to before, right? Um, but everybody who's planning to have children thinks they're going to be part of that 20%. Okay, they're just very optimistic. They're like, I'm not going to be that 80%. Yes, it's 80%, but there's also 20%. I'm going to be that 20%. So I'm assuming that a lot of parents, like if you bring this to people's attention, that apparently most people are going to go to hell. So why have a child where there's a high chance that your child is going to go to hell? You're just going to be up just the same way that people are optimistic about their own happiness when they have child, even unrealistically optimistic. I'm assuming that they would be unrealistically optimistic about their children going to heaven as well. The same way that they're unrealistically optimistic based on the stats that they're going to go to heaven as well, right? Like they themselves, like forget the children, they themselves think that they're going to go to heaven. Even if you believe in Islam, okay, there's so many different versions of Islam, and you are very confident that your version of Islam is the right version of Islam, right? Even though statistically the odds are against you. So given that how people are optimistic that they're going to be different, I'm assuming that they're not going to be anti-natalist and they're going to have children. All right, Puya. Hi, Puya. Puya saying, hey, Armin, do you know Graydon Square? Hold on. I can tell by people's faces more than their names. I'm really bad at names. Graydon Square. No, I do not know this person. Is he? No, okay, I don't know. Do you know Graydon Square? He's an atheist rapper who just got discovered, you mean? I thought would be a cool guest to have, either here or on Secular Jihadist. Okay, Susanna, are you watching? Can you remember this, please? Just in case. Susanna would be on Atheist Republic. Susanna is the best person to. I'm not good at socializing and talking to people. So on Atheist Republic, Susanna is the relationship. That's why she's a CEO. One of the main things of being a CEO is maintaining relationships, right? So Susanna does that there. When it comes to the guest on the Secular Jihadist podcast, Ali does that. When it comes to the guest on our Persian show, Babak does that, because I am horrible at maintaining a good relationship with people, and that's why I am not. People put me away. They're like, you're calm down, go away. We got this, okay? So if you want to talk about guests on the show, Susanna would be the right person to talk to. And on Secular Jihadist, Ali Rizvi would be the first person to recommend this. But I'm hoping that Susanna is watching this, so we could remember that. Megumin is saying, Armin, apart from vegetables, green leaves, and nuts, seeds, what red meats would you recommend people consume during workouts, and how frequently? Megumin depends on if you're trying to lose weight or not. Okay, I'm assuming most people are also trying to become. I mean, technically, everybody should be trying to lose weight, except if you're like under 10% body fat percentage, right? It's in the best interest of everybody to lose some body fat percentage, unless they are too shredded, like under 10%. Okay, So I would actually suggest that you stay away from nuts and seeds most of the time. They People don't understand that healthy and low calorie are not the same thing. So nuts are healthy, but they are very calorie dense. Very calorie dense. Like there's a whole bunch of calorie in a very small you know the calorie per gram ratio or calorie per milliliter ratio is so high that I would like you could pack up so much calorie just by just eating just a little bit of nuts. So I would suggest, unless you're just like putting just a little bit on top of your salad or like on whatever, I would suggest staying away from nuts, right? So you don't have to. I just my suggestion, right? So yeah, I mean, again, not everything that is healthy means that is good for you, because healthy means like it has good. When people say healthy, they're talking about good nutritions, right? It has a lot of good nutritions like vitamins and some minerals, but there are many things that have a lot of good nutritions, but they also pack a lot of calories. So it's nutritionally healthy, but because of the added weight that you're going to get, it's not technically healthy. Okay, so I would stay away from nuts. Again, when it comes to vegetable, I wouldn't say like, oh, you say green leaves. I mean, vegetable covers green leaves, right? So you already said vegetables. Apart from vegetables, green leaves, what red meats would you recommend? I would actually suggest that if you're not to rely on red meats, because the best sources of protein, when it comes to low calorie and also high in nutrition, and also adding the healthiest fats that your body needs, is a mix of, in my opinion, is a mix of egg whites and sardines, or if you don't like sardines, some sort of fatty fish, okay, like salmon. Okay, sardines are just cheap. They're Sardines are like little multivitamins, multi-mineral packs with also vitamin D and omega 3 and and calcium and everything. Just like sardines are like the healthiest, cheapest multivitamins of nature. Okay, like if you can use sardines on your salad, like then you're basically getting the cheapest, healthiest multivitamin that nature can offer. Okay, and it also has it's a protein source as well. Okay, it's amazing. It's also a fish that you could eat it with its bones, so it just comes with a lot of goddamn calcium. It's amazing. Okay, there's nothing that could beat sardines when it comes to being having the right fats and being packed with vitamins and all the minerals, but also egg whites and whey protein are the best sources of protein with low amount of calorie, right? So red meat is not really, again, red meat is not like unhealthy. Red meat is good as a source of protein. However, if I'm introducing meat to my diet, if I'd rather that be done with fish than red meat, because you get more benefit. You get more bang for your calories, right? You get more nutrition for the calorie consumption if you stay with fish rather than red meat. That's my also disclaimer, I'm not a health expert. This is just the things I research. And you should talk to a health professional or do your own research. And I'm not qualified for you to take. This is just to motivate you to go do your own research. You shouldn't believe anything I say. It's just, I'm just sharing what I think that could be completely wrong. You shouldn't take any of these. You shouldn't just believe it just because I'm saying it. Okay. So I'm not a health expert. Please, please, please do not believe it just because I said it. Okay. All right, cool. By the way, guys, the healthiest food is actually extremely cheap. Like a lot of people say like, oh, it's expensive to eat healthy. No, it's not. Actually, it's cheaper. Okay. I'm talking egg whites, lots of vegetables, sardines, and whey protein is actually people are like, oh, whey protein is actually expensive. It's actually cheaper than other sources of protein. Okay, the amount of protein that you get per dollar is cheaper with whey protein than other ways. So it's and also, you could like, your salad could be, you have, again, I'm not going to go into much detail, but you can make this so delicious, you have no idea. All right, Chris Smith is saying, is the Aisha argument a good argument against Islam? What do you think? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get easier than this. I used to think it's a low-hanging fruit and we shouldn't go for it, but why? I mean, I changed my mind. That why should we not go for one of the most ridiculously, obviously immoral things that Islam promotes? Like, why is that? Why wouldn't it be? You have a religion that outright explicitly endorses child marriage. I mean, child marriage is like, it's not, it's child rape. Okay, I'm trying to, I'm gonna say the words because I don't care about YouTube and all these social media platforms. They have been treating us so badly, and I'm gonna try to be less picky about the words I use. I mean, I'm still gonna try to, yeah, anyways, I'm gonna say it's child rape. Okay, it's not even child marriage. And Islam is a religion that is so obviously endorses child rape. No, that is incredible that the world still sees this uh, as something to endorse. It doesn't get more obvious. Like, it's in black and white. Like, there is no doubt that it does that. Anybody that is telling you that it doesn't is either lying to you or they're delusional. It's in black and white. The endorsement of child rape in Islam is explicit, direct, and obvious. And this is a religion that is endorsed by at least 2 billion people, even non-believers who are endorsing it. It's incredible that this is still a religion that is taken seriously. I think it needs to be highlighted more often that Islam does endorse child rape. Next question by Smith is saying, thoughts on when theists say you must prove a ground, prove or ground your morality. Also thoughts on objective morals versus subjective morals. Okay, this could be an entire stream of its own, and we have already had this a lot of discussions about morality. We do have a ground for our morality. We have already talked about this many times. But even if it didn't, that wouldn't make God real, right? If you say, like, if we don't believe in God, let's say if it's, let's say it's true, okay? If it's not, but let's say it's true that if you didn't believe in God, you wouldn't have any reason to be moral, and all sorts of immoral behavior would be justified, and all of that thing, okay? Then that would be an unfortunate reality. It wouldn't make God real, okay? This, you know what I mean? It's not, that's not the situation that we're doing. Like, the argument it makes, the argument is that wouldn't it be horrible if God wasn't real, therefore God is real? That's a ridiculously childish argument for the existence of God. If it would be horrible if God wasn't real, it doesn't mean that God is real, obviously. Okay. However, we are lucky enough to know that that is not the case. The ground for morality that we have is a lot stronger than the ground for morality that believers have. Every single, almost every single moral compass or metric or standard that has been introduced by non-believers has been superior to the divine command theory, which they themselves not only accept but promote the idea that murdering children would be a good thing if God commands it. Like, the entire, all of the Abrahamic religion as a whole is united over Abraham's story, with the idea that Abraham heard God told him to kill his child, and it became something good to do because God told you to. Like, the whole purpose of that story is to show you that what you think is atrocious, what you think that is the most morally bankrupt thing to do, actually becomes a good thing if God commands it to be so. That's a definition of what is good. The definition of what is good is what God says it's, what God commands you to do. Okay? And that will, genocide, child murder, child rape, all of this will become good if God commands it. And that's the ground that they have, that they're so proud of. They're so proud of that that's the only thing that they're all united on. That's the foundational story that they're all united on. I mean, they brag about that. That's not something that they hide. That's something they brag about. And their ground, their moral ground is you know is inferior by every reasonable metric. Is inferior to the ground that we have. So yeah, we do have a ground for our morality, and it's really good. And I mean, not all of us agree on what that ground should be. I happen to think that rule utilitarianism is the best one we have. None of them is flawless, but it's the best one we have, and it makes a lot of sense. But most of them are superior than what they have, anyways, right? Where is this? How about the story of Job, where Satan and God caused huge pain and suffering to God's most devout follower? Yeah, I don't know what the question is, but since I don't know what the question means, I'm just going to say that it's interesting that in that story, Satan has not become the enemy of God yet, right? So, and that was the time. That story was written for a time when Judaism was still a religion that had not become influenced by Zoroastrianism, and Satan was just like somebody within the court of God, somebody, an advisor, or some, like, not even an enemy, right? There wasn't this dualistic approach of the world, cutting everything good and bad, where God represents the good and Satan represents the bad. Satan was not the name of that character, and Satan was the title of that character in that story. I think it is like the advocate or the inquisitor or something like that, right? So I don't know what Satan means at that position, but it was not a name, it was a label. And that character eventually turned into the opposite of God. And when Judaism learned from Zoroastrianism to have a more dualistic approach of the world, more of a yin yang situation, and just like Zoroastrianism, which has an Ahura, who represents the good, and an Ahriman, who represents the bad, Judaism promoted this character, Satan, to become the enemy of God, to have this whole the battle between evil and good ideology within Judaism. It's very interesting that all of this promotion of Satan and the introduction of angels and demons, which was also influenced by Zoroastrianism, happened after the exile of Jews from Babylon by the Persians and the Persian rule over Jerusalem and the rest of Israel, today's Israel. So you can see that the influence is very obvious. All right. Somebody's saying, if God allowed free will, why is he interested in how we behave? Free will means free will, no influence of God. Well, I mean, there's no God, so there's that answer. Yeah, none of it makes any sense, right? Okay, so Anna is saying, I'm Israeli, and here it's possible to perform circumcision on infants with local anesthesia anesthesia in anesthetics in a hospital. Are you against circumcision also when there is no pain involved? Yes, I'm against it. You have no right to cut a baby when it can't consent. So okay, so I am extremely against circumcision because of the pain. It would be a lot morally, but even without the pain, I would still be very much against it. It would, to me, this question is similar to asking, if we use anesthetics so that the baby doesn't feel any pain, would it be okay to cut its earlobe while it's a baby? Okay, doesn't feel any pain. Or what about to cut just a small part of its little finger or some other parts, or make a mark, just put a symbol on their face or so on their butt, like maybe put a tattoo on their butt. Okay, deform them in any way, cut them in any way, like just put a knife anywhere near a baby to do something that is surgically not necessary in any way, without their permission, without their consent, because they're a goddamn baby. Okay, would that be a crime? Yes, that would be a crime. It should be a crime. Every single person that puts a knife on a baby without it being medically necessary, that should not just get you a fine. That should get your license removed forever, your medical license, and it should get you jail time. That should be the law, even without the pain. Okay. Megumin is saying, if not Susanna, I'll remind her on Sunday or send her a message in Discord. Okay, that's not a question. Guys, if you tag us, please make sure you ask a question. This is a Q&A. And also, if you're asking a question, please make sure you tag us as well. Okay. Abdullah is saying, what is the backstory with AP and this Asadullah guy? I don't know. But now you got me curious. Abdullah, I'm curious now. I know Asadullah. I mean, beyond just they disagreeing because Asadullah is a Muslim and advocates for Islam and speaks against ex-Muslims, and AP being an ex-Muslim. Is there some drama beyond just that? If there is, I'm interested to know. That sounds like need some popcorn and stuff. I don't know. Like, tell us. I don't know. Like, I'm gonna go look this up after the stream maybe. Okay, you're talking about losing some weight, but mostly building muscle. Well, if you're mostly building muscle, the main thing that you need to make sure is that you're getting enough protein. Other than that, make sure you get a lot of sleep. Make sure you drink a lot of water. Make sure you don't over-exercise. Make sure you have rest days for recovery. Make sure you have a balanced, healthy diet of lots of vegetables and good protein source like egg whites, like whey protein, and some fatty fish. Fatty fish is important because fat is not your enemy. There are some healthy fat you need, not just for exercise, but for overall general health. So fatty fish is good to have. Don't have too much fat, but if you're having fat, make sure it's the right kind. Yeah, I mean, it's not that complicated, guys. A lot of people make this whole health thing seem very complicated. 90% of what you need to worry about is very basic. Nobody should worry about too much detail unless they're doing the main basic 90%. And the basic 90% is like not rocket science. Like a lot of health experts on social media try to like give you like the secret like science, like you try to like mathematical formulas of like measure this and calculate this, and like no, it's actually, if you shouldn't be worrying about that unless you're doing the 90% most important things that you should be doing, which is lots of sleep, lots of water, progressive overload on your weights, but not too fast. Okay. Don't if you're trying to lose weight, trying to lose some fat, don't do it too fast. Okay. If you're losing by more than a pound a week, that means your calorie restriction is too high. Losing it slower is healthier, and it's also more sustainable. You're not going to be able to maintain a lifestyle like this. Diet shouldn't be something that you do just for a while. This should become a lifestyle, and you're not going to be able to turn it into a habit, to a lifestyle, if you're like doing extreme calorie restrictions. Just try to find ways to make vegetables very exciting without like frying it. Obviously, you don't want to put oil on stuff, right? And yeah, just get lots of fish and vegetables and water and sleep and exercise. Yeah, it's simple, guys. It's not that complicated. Anna is saying, oh, I already read this. This is the second time you posted this. Okay. Yeah, maybe because I said to post it again. Pronatalism is saying if euthanasia was not considered a sin as per their God, the most rational choice will be euthanasia at a young age. Okay, this is a comment, guys. If you're tagging me, please make sure it's a question. Well, okay, this is a compliment, so I'm going to read it because I need the compliments. Megumin is saying, thank you very much for your tip. Salmon is what is aplenty? I keep saying chi, mean like what, because I'm mixing my English and Persian shows. A plenty here in Norway. Sardines, I'll remember to add them to. Okay, well, so if you have a lot of, did I read that right? I don't know if I read that right. Salmon is also very good. Sardines are cheaper, I think, right? Sardines have more nutrition and they're cheaper, but salmons are also very good. If salmon is easy to come by where you are, if they're cheaper, just go with salmons. But sardines do have a lot more nutrition. God, sardines are like the magic. It's like is like if there was a God, it's like, here, I'm gonna put almost most of what you need in just like this one tiny little thing. Okay. Yeah. Menace is saying, "Hey Armin, there's an Islamic religious debate going on to be held tomorrow in my area. I like to participate in it, and if I get an opportunity to, what are some good points I could raise?" Interesting. Um, First of all, I hope it's safe. Is it safe? Please make sure if it's safe before you go there. Um, Before you think about what questions to ask, I suggest to think about the best attitude. I think like asking questions in a way that shows that you're curious, you're interested, you're valuing the answers. Is the tone that you're asking it will make the discussion a lot more healthy. Also, try to, when they're giving answers or when they're talking, I think it works very well if you find something that they say that you agree with, and you be like, "Oh, I agree with that." That will make the conversation a lot easier to have. Just finding points that you agree with somebody. Regards with regards to what questions to ask. Um, Again, it's a lot of the questions that comes up, I think. Okay, I will tell you one question if you could move it in that direction. But a lot of the questions that you come up with has to be based on what they're saying. It has to come up organically, and it's easy to ask questions just because when they're saying something, making a claim, you could just ask how they know that, or how do they? Here are some good questions. How do you know that? How do you know that? Like, where is your evidence for that? But ask it in a nice way. And also, do you think is there a chance that you could be wrong about this? How could you be certain? That's another good question to ask, right? But if you want to ask a more specific question that is not based on what they're saying, one thing that has helped me a lot is to ask religious people, especially Muslims, if they think somebody coming to the wrong conclusion, like if, let's say, Islam is true, let's say God is real, let's say Allah is real and Muhammad is the prophet and the Quran is the word of God. Let's say, like let's say Manas, for example, let's say I honestly went and done my research and I came to the conclusion that it's not real, that it's not true, and it's just my honest attempt. Do you think that it's fair for me to be burned for eternity for that? Right? Um, do you think that the punishment fits the crime? Right? And even this, and it depends on what kind of Muslim they are. Some of them will say like, no, well, you wouldn't get burned. Some of them say, well, you will, and then you can move the direction from conversation from that, and then you can ask, well, who do they think they would get burned? But again, they talking about the unfairness and the evil nature of Allah without actually saying it. I mean, you could just say it. I don't want you to hold back if you don't want to. I don't hold back. But I think that has worked for me to at least make a lot of Muslims like see where we're coming from, because a lot of people are not very intelligent, but most people are somewhat kind. So highlighting the unkind nature of the God that they worship is easier, has gotten a lot more success for me than coming up with logical fallacies and questioning the proofs or evidence for the existence of God. Because again, most people are not very intelligent, but most people are, are sympathetic and understand unfairness and kindness. Okay. Let me go. Oh, actually, I need to address this. Miguiman is saying, we know you're not an expert, but your body is evidence for us when it comes to physical fitness. Well, thank you, but no. Physical there, because there are a lot of people that are very fit and are giving really bad advice online, right? Um, how fit you are is not just a function. Like, some people get away with ways that don't work, but they're genetically so gifted that they get so much better results. I'm not that. I'm not genetically that gifted. I actually had to work hard for this, right? But you can't know, right? Some people don't know, do a whole bunch of things, and some of the things that they're doing is responsible for the results, but they think that the other things that they did is responsible for the results, and they give those advice, right? So let's say, so just because they're fit, that doesn't mean what they think was the most responsible thing for why they're fit. They're giving you, it was like, oh, it was these supplements I took, right? They don't know that if they didn't take those supplements, given the direction that they were going, they would have been just as fit, right? So they give like, I took this supplement, I took that supplement, and be like, well, he's fit, he must be giving me the right supplement. Whereas those supplements might have had no influence, right? So you can't be like, you have to look at the science-based approach. It can't be like, this guy is fit, so if he tells me what he did, that must be the right approach. It doesn't work like that. If you look at the scientific literature and what is working, you're using anecdotal evidence, which is the least reliable way of coming up with a conclusion. The scientific method is looking at thousands of people in a controlled environment and tries to control for not in a controlled environment, but tries to control for as many external factors as possible, right? You can't do that with just one individual. So again, do the science. Don't use one person's personal experience as the reason why it must be working. I mean, not do the science, appeal to the science. I'm okay. So when I give you advice, you shouldn't trust me. My advice is meant to give you motivation to go figure it out. Also, like, it's motivation for like, oh, he says it's like, I might say like, hey, sardines are very nutritious and a very good source of healthy fat. You be like, oh, really? Let me go check that. You shouldn't be like, Armin said it, he's healthy, so it must be true. You should be like, well, I heard that. Let me go check if it's true. That's how you should treat these the kind of claims that I'm making. Yeah, don't believe me. Check everything. Be skeptical. Pronatalism is saying, wait, I'm gonna pronatalism is asking, what do religious people think about aborted fetuses in terms of heaven and hell if they end up in heaven from I don't know what that word is. More babies will be in heaven compared to parents in hell. Yeah, true. So maybe the best, if that is, again, religious people have different views. We can't talk about them all as if they're all like just have the same views. But if that is a view of a lot of people, maybe the most moral thing to do was just to keep getting pregnant and getting abortions. You just like filling heaven with happy babies, happy flying babies. Yeah, if you think aborted babies will end up in heaven, and babies you raise could potentially end up in heaven or hell, the most moral thing to do is to constantly get pregnant and keep getting abortions, just so that you could increase the amount of pleasure in the world, the next world, all worlds combined, right? Amount of happiness. You're increasing the amount of happiness by filling the population of heaven. So yeah, nobody should raise their kids. All women should just get pregnant and keep getting abortions, and only at the end get raise. If they should raise some of the kids so that their kids could also get. You have to do a calculation. You have to be like, most of my kids I would abort so I could fill the heaven with happy babies, but I need to raise some of them so they could also start getting pregnant and aborting their babies. So some of the kids, you have to do the calculation to see what would be the fastest way to fill up heaven. Okay. And most of the time you'll be doing abortions, but sometimes you have to raise the kids so that they could also get pregnant and keep aborting the babies. Everybody, you don't. Most boys should get aborted. You only need one boy for every 1,000 females, right? Because one male could basically impregnate 1,000 females, right? So most boys you abort. Every woman could have like 10 daughters that they raise. One boy, only one boy per 100 women could be raised, just so that he could impregnate all of them. Most of the time you get abortion, and then all of these women, your 10 daughters will go to their local male to get impregnated, and they will also keep having abortions most of the time, right? There will be machines and science based to figure out what's the fastest way to keep having abortions, and then getting pregnant again. And then this will be the mission filling up, mission populating heaven. That would be the name of the mission, and that from a utilitarian perspective, that would be the fastest way to maximize the amount of utility in the whole world. That would be the natural conclusion from aborted babies going to heaven. That should be morally what we're all doing. Yeah. Mustafa is being very nice, very polite, very friendly, and he's saying, "This is very nice. This is how we have a very, very friendly, nice Muslim in our community right here, who is asking me about my views, and his question is, where's your evidence she was a child, you imbecile?" And he's referring to me. He's talking about me saying that Islam promotes child rape because Muhammad, which is the prophet of Islam, who's supposed to be the role model for all men at all times, married Aisha when she was 6 years old, and raped her when she was 9. So Al Mustafa is asking me for evidence, where do I get the information that she was a child? So Al Mustafa, I'm going to introduce you to Islam and Islamic sources, mainly the sources of Hadith, which are the main sources of Islamic law and rulings and customs and morality. As I'm sure you do not know anything about Hadith, because if you did, you wouldn't be asking me this question. So you seem to be very ignorant about Islam. You seem to be very ignorant about Islam because you don't seem to know about Hadith. I'm sure if you were a little bit more informed about Islam, you would know that Hadith, authentic Hadith, Sahih Hadith, is recognized as the source of Islamic ruling more than the Quran is, because 90%, 95%, like not more when it comes to authenticity, more in terms of volume, right? Because most of Islamic teachings come from the Hadith, not from the Quran. Quran has a more of an authority, but Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim are second only to the Quran, and they are considered to be authentic. And the words and doings of Muhammad, according to all four Sunni Islamic schools of thought, and the Shias have their own hadith. And according to Sahih Bukhari, many times in Sahih Bukhari, it has been explicitly mentioned that Muhammad raped Aisha when she was 9 years old. So it's there. Maybe read it, maybe check it out before you make a claim. Okay. Oh, Al Mustafa is saying, I don't accept that hadith and age don't determine whether you're a child or not. Wow, I have to highlight this. Guys, this is such a good case for you to show the apologetics that people arguments that people make for why Muhammad didn't rape a child. Okay, this is fantastic. This is such a beautiful case for us to. This is Exhibit A for what we're dealing with. Okay. First, I was saying I don't accept that hadith. Okay, so Mustafa, if you don't accept Sahih Bukhari, as an authentic source of Islam, everything you know about Islam goes away. Most of what you know about Islam goes away, because Sahih Bukhari is the source in which like if you dismiss the authenticity of Sahih Bukhari, Islam as we recognize it today will become completely unrecognizable. You don't know how to do the Hajj. You don't know how to do Salat. You don't know how to do Zakat. You wouldn't even be able to recognize Muslims. There's nothing. There's really, like, there's very few things about Islam that is recognizable without recognizing the authenticity. Everything we know about what Muslims do, 4 of the 5 pillars of Islam, is based on the authenticity of Sahih Bukhari. So this is a ridiculous claim to make. Your Islam wouldn't be Islam without hadith. You're dismissing most of Islamic scripture if you don't recognize Sahih Bukhari. So congratulations, like you just ended Islam. You're not a, you made Islam unrecognizable. So thank you for that. But it gets even, I thought that was ridiculous. It gets even worse, saying also age doesn't determine whether you're a child or not. So guys, please recognize what level of lunacy we deal with when we claim that according to Islam, Muhammad raped a 9-year-old. These people, to be able to get out of that, first of all, you contradicted yourself, right? The only reason why you're saying age doesn't determine if you're a child or not is because you recognize that Muhammad did have sex with a 9-year-old. So your way out of that is to be like, you could be an adult 9-year-old. Okay, so guys, this is not a rare case. This is an actual argument. This is the most popular argument. I grew up with this argument by every single Islamic teacher I had in school for 12 years in Iran, right? Every single year, the religion teacher, their main argument for why Muhammad slept with a 9-year-old is that a 9-year-old is potentially an adult back then. That this is not like a fringe excuse. This has been the main comeback. I mean, do I even need to respond to that? These people are saying that you could potentially be 9 and not a child at the same time. That is their argument for why it's okay for Muhammad to rape a 9-year-old. Do I even need to respond to that? Look at this. Here's another thing. He's saying, show me where it says he raped her, you disgusting liar. This is, why he's saying this? Because when I say he raped her, is because these people think it's possible for you to get consent from a 9-year-old. So when I say he raped a 9-year-old, their comeback is he didn't rape her. It was a consensual relationship. So they are outing themselves. He's outing himself. The reason why I say it's rape is because she was 9. So it's beautiful because they will come and show that they accept that he raped a 9-year-old. He slept with a 9-year-old because the issue for them is that it wasn't rape because she wanted it. That's the issue that they have with it. They don't understand that for us, any sexual relationship with a 9-year-old is rape. They don't understand that. Unbelievable. This is so good. This is so Al-Mustafa. Like when I tell people how ridiculous these arguments are, people don't believe us that this is actually your arguments. I thank you that you come here to demonstrate that these are actual arguments that people make in favor of their disgusting, evil, child molesting prophet. These are the excuses they make for him raping a 9-year-old. Like, I can't demonstrate these people. You help us by coming here and making these arguments. You help us in showing to people that you are real. This is a real issue. The Muslims are real. That the Muslims that are making these arguments, they exist in the world out there. So I thank you for that. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Look at the question. Show me where it says he raped her, you disgusting liar. The place where it says that she's 9 years old, that's where it says she raped her. Where it says that he consummated the marriage at age 9, where it says she was 9 years old, that's where it says that it was rape. Do you understand that? Do you understand that you cannot have consensual relationship with a 9-year-old? Please keep talking, Al Mustafa. You're outing yourself. Hold on. This is one of the many hadiths. I'm going to show one of them, okay? Because for some people, I'm like, this, it can't be this bad, okay? Show me. You want me to show your evidence, okay? Mustafa, here's the evidence, okay? This is Sahih Bukhari, okay? This is Sahih. You know, Sahih means it's authentic. This is the highest degree when it says Sahih, especially given that it's Bukhari. Guys, when it comes to sources of Islamic scripture, sources of Islamic hadith, it doesn't get any higher than Bukhari, than Sahih Bukhari. You don't get higher sources of hadith than Sahih Bukhari. You are not going to get any more authentic than this. If this is not Islam, then there is no Islam. Nothing about Islam would not be recognizable. Nothing about what Muslims are doing. None of their Hajj, none of their fasting, none of their zakat, none of their salat, none of that would be Islamic, because this is the highest metric. It doesn't get more bigger than this when it comes to hadith. So this is what he wants evidence. Here's the goddamn evidence, guys, everyone. This is not like this is not an un-Islamic. This is, if you don't believe this website, which is an Islamic website, just go get the goddamn book. Go get the Sahih Bukhari book and just read it yourself. Every single hadith source, every single Sahih Bukhari says this. Every single one of them has this in there. Multiple times. Okay, so let's read it, okay? It says, the Prophet, sallallahu alayhi, married her when she was 6 years old, and he consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old. Is that the evidence you want? Al-Mustafa, who's calling me a disgusting liar? Is this, here's, am I a disgusting liar now? He raped her when she was 9 years old. Do you understand why we're calling this rape? Because she was 9 years old. Here's your goddamn evidence. Are you happy? There you go. There's your evidence. Nothing to say? Where are you? Come on, come at me. Like, I answered the question, dumbass. I answered you. You wanted evidence? I gave you evidence. Here it is. You're embarrassed. You embarrass your own religion. This is your disgusting prophet. This is your disgusting prophet. This is what Islam considers a role model for all men, for all time. You have anything else to say? No? Unbelievable. Guys, here's another thing. If you want to be a Quranist, which is like ridiculous, that you say that, oh yeah, where'd he go? The Quran itself tells you that raping children is okay. The Quran itself, because the Quran, when it's talking about divorce, the Quran says, there's a verse in the Quran specifically that says that among your wives that you're divorcing, here are the instructions for the ones that have hit puberty, and here are the instructions for the ones that haven't yet hit puberty. The Quran refers to the wives of Muslims that haven't yet reached puberty, the age of puberty yet. So even the Quran itself directly refers and endorses child marriage, which is more accurately known as child rape. Anyways, I'm gonna head out soon. Okay, here's an interesting news. Mustafa is saying, what's the age of consent then? It sure is not 9. Okay? I don't know what the best age is. Some people say 18. Some people say 16. Some people say 20. But I can tell you, it's not 9. Okay? It's not 9. Okay? We're pretty sure it's not 9, Al-Mustafa. Don't make this like, oh, it's a gray area, so who knows? Okay? If it, like, oh, it's a gray area, so why not go with 2 then? God damn it. insane. My English and Persian is getting, I'm getting intense because ever since I'm doing the Persian show, my English and Persian is getting mixed with each other. All right, let me just do a few questions. Do you, Meguman is saying, do you agree with Japan's obesity law where you get penalized for being overweight or above a certain dress size? No, I do not agree. I think people, there needs to be a, I would be more in favor of a carrot approach rather than a stick approach. If the government wants to be involved with measures that promotes a healthy, I think people should be rewarded for taking steps to be more healthy rather than being punished for being unhealthy. I could be wrong about that, but I would think that would be a better form of government intervention. If it shows that some sort of bonus for people to that for people, it could save the government money. Like if the government is paying for healthcare, if it uses that money to prevent people getting sick by motivating them to take care of their health, it might save the government a lot of money. But I do think a carrot approach makes a lot more sense. It's dangerous for the government to penalize people for being unhealthy. Like that's the level of government authority that could be extremely dangerous. So carrot approach would be nicer. Megumin is saying, do you think don't you think we need to address the issue of depression and anxiety among people? I feel that's where religious people have the upper hand over us. The issue of depression and anxiety. Religious people don't deal with, they do not have a solution for depression and anxiety. They make it worse. So I don't know, they pretend like they have a solution. I mean, if I have a problem with religious people, we have a problem in general with everybody, every con that pretends to have a solution. Like it's the same thing with homeopathy or like snake oil medicine, whatever, like other, like it's the same problem that we have to deal with. It involves educating people and giving them good critical thinking skills to be able to recognize bullshit from reality. That's the main thing. The solution has always been. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go. Wow. Okay. Let me just answer really quick. A couple more. BJP is losing public support. Wait. So in rural areas of Uttar Pradesh, because now the identity is farmer, not Hindu. That is why they removed the. Yeah, I saw that. But this is not the. Okay, these are comments, not questions. Comments. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna go. I have to go. Oh, wait. Before I go, one more time, please make sure you go to support us on. No, you don't have to support us. You just have to follow us. And in fact, you're supporting yourself on Peaked here. This is our social media platform on Peaked, where it would not get, you could make money just by commenting. So here's the thing, guys. You will make cryptocurrency simply by commenting here. And what I'm going to promise is that, again, this is not financial advice. I'm not saying potentially if this is a good idea for you to make money or not. Okay. I'm not a financial expert. Okay. But this is a social media platform where it's pro free speech. Nothing can be censored. And people get financially rewarded by posting and also commenting. Okay. So because we have a good standing, Atheist Republic's upvotes will give you cryptocurrency, where a cryptocurrency called Hive, where you could then go exchange with other cryptocurrency, or you could hold on to it, or you could power it up on this platform so that your votes also matter a lot, or you could just exchange it for cash, right? But what I'm going to do to motivate you guys to go here and follow us on Peaked is to, if you comment, if you engage with our posts here, I'm going to upvote your comments on a, if you leave a comment, for example, here using Atheist Republic's account, I am going to upvote your comments, and when I upvote your comments, you get a cryptocurrency where when then you could go sell. Okay, look, for example, here you can see this post that we made. Just this post got 9 hives, right? So which half of it goes to us, half of it will go to people who engage with this, right? So each hive is right now like $3. Is going between $2 and $3 recently, right? So that's pretty good. Like this post by itself has generated like $30, $15 goes just by one post goes to us, $15 goes to the rest of the people who engage with it, right? So just with one post. So it's pretty amazing. So I'll make sure if I upvote you, you get some of the hive. So if you comment here, I'm going to reward you by upvoting your comments using the Atheist Republic account, and that way you get some cryptocurrency which you could go sell later. Okay, so make sure, again, let me put the link. I mean, you could sell right away. You don't have to sell it later. Okay, here's the link to our account, and make an account there. There are many ways that you can make an account there. You can make an account for free, or you can make an account for $1, which you would get paid back from right away. And yeah, and in cryptocurrencies, by the way. Okay, cool. Saying I'm gonna go. Hey Armin, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, guys. Make sure before you leave, guys, nobody leave before you like this video, like it or dislike it. Just do something, okay? Nobody leave before, guys. I was here for you guys 2 hours talking. I gave you content. All I am asking for in return is just a like. Your likes actually really help us keep growing our audience. So please make sure you engage with this. Just give it a like. Maybe after the stream is over, leave a comment. If you want to support us further, support us on Patreon. You get our blasphemous art, the uncensored version of our blasphemous art. We have new art every week. As a thank you for supporting us on Patreon, and you also get priority. Your questions get priority. Some of the questions, for example, today I didn't get a chance to answer, but if you're a patron, then every Q&A that we have a Q&A every week, and if you're a patron, I have to answer your questions. Well, if it's short enough to be able to, okay, maybe I will answer Ian's question. I didn't answer Ian's question today, but even though he's a patron, I answered 2 of his 3 questions. I will answer the longer question on Patreon. I will make sure I answer him. Okay, I will message him, but please keep them shorter so that we could answer all of them. But I promise that I will answer every single Patreon question, and they will get priority. Okay, yeah. So thank you guys, and yeah, talk to you guys very soon in 2 days. Susanna is going to be on the news stream. So if you are disappointed that Susanna is not here, I don't blame you, but don't worry. She's going to be in 2 days when we cover the news. She will be here. All right, guys. Thank you, and talk to you later. Bye.